situational belief sets. Well, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of that expression is the apparent belief set that Floridians have that it's warm down here. It's not been that way since I've been here, but nonetheless, the things that we believe affect our mood, affect our readiness, our sense of self, our sense of adequacy. There's a great deal to be said about the benefit of believing certain things, and that's irrespective of whether or not they're even true. People often do better when they believe they will, and when they believe they won't, they often do more poorly. This, to me, is not the indication that there's something screwy in our wiring, but rather it demonstrates to me that the ability to believe is somehow a part of our cognitive process, and that it has to, in some way, find a natural and appropriate role in our survival as organisms. So, although I think it's possible that belief sets can be inappropriately assigned, and that people can be inappropriately loyal to certain belief sets, in and of themselves, belief sets are simply just belief sets, and they are mechanisms by which we find a way to navigate through what could otherwise be discouraging, and to overcome the way in which that discouragement, which can also be a useful experience, but it helps to overcome the way that discouragement might actually be the only and sole cause of a failure in accomplishing some important tasks. So belief has a very real value, even if we can't always clearly define or even understand or always justify what it is.
When reasonable people can't form these groups, when we can't have somebody that can simply come to the microphone and give a reasoned argument in a civilized way and be a Carl Sagan kind of presenter, because they face this kind of resistance, right? Who steps up in their stead, right? You end up with the more antagonistic, the more in-your-face, firebrand atheists, and people want to complain that people like me exist. I understand that I am an extremist, but I was forced into this position. I would rather that softer spoken, more intelligent, and better speakers could take my place. But the environment is, as you said, it doesn't permit that. It has to have us come in first, to be more in your face and more confrontational, and take the brunt to allow the better people to rise.
The idea that Aaron just expressed here, sort of the need for the bulldogs and the firebrands, and people that are as forceful in their personality, and I mean, Aaron is the type of person that is accused of being strident, but I mean, he's right. You really do need people who will create elbow room. They get in there with their elbows and they push people aside, and they create space. And they create space for people like a girl in her teens who probably weighs 100 pounds, who is easily intimidated, and actually she's no wallflower. I mean, they took a lot of courage, a lot of pluck to go up against the school administration repeatedly. That's not a little thing that she did, that she accomplished, So yeah, we do need people out there who sort of lead the charge, and they do create space and create opportunities for people who want to then come in and who will seem a little less strident and more palatable to people who, because there's just a lot of people who are sort of put off by a strident message. So I thank you, Aaron, for making that point. I thought that was it needed to be said.
Well, let me talk for a moment about this journey that I'm on with NCG. Firstly, if there's an alligator behind me, you'd let me know, wouldn't you? But actually, I have to say that this journey, this set of discussions that we've had with various people, has been for me quite engaging, very challenging, in fact. And I've had to, I've actually gone through some of my own evolution in my own thinking. I've not abandoned any level of faith altogether, But I have certainly been able to see even more ways in which some of my belief or theology was perhaps more dogmatic than would be appropriate. And so those things have either changed or they've backed off in terms of their adamancy. And I have also found that I have discovered some wonderful people that I've gotten to know, some of them very adamant atheists and people I've just come to love and care about, and wonderful human beings, and it's good to know them. It's good to have the kind of thinking they bring to me, and the clarity of thought that they can bring. And it's also good to see, to be honest with you, how in some cases the things that they find compellingly requiring of them to not have faith are things that strike me as either irrelevant or off to the side. And in some ways it has made me more comfortable in my faith. But you know, I'm sure it's the other way around as well. That in this journey, people have listened to me, have taken to heart some of the things I've said, and it's caused them to rethink their ways. And I'm sure there's also been things I've said where people say, nah, I don't think so. And it's actually helped confirm for them what they are most comfortable thinking or believing. What does that say about it all? I think it says that in some ways we're all, to a certain degree, adrift. And knowing that, I'm okay with it. It helps me to actually find even more cause for accepting others, because if they're adrift and maybe I'm adrift, then what are we even arguing about but illusions within both of our minds? So this journey has helped me to really focus more on the fact that one thing I do seem to know is that I'm involved with other human beings and getting to know them as people, and getting to know them as human beings who think and who wonder about the nature of our reality and the foundation of it all. And it's good to know that there's people who take that question seriously without regard to how they answer it within themselves. So this has been a meaningful journey to me. I'm glad I've been involved in it.
You know, if you think you've had enough of this shit, you should think about leaving church.
Anyway, Dr. Jones is with another individual here. Take it away here, Dr. Jones.
A gentleman to my left, and we were just talking with him, and he's very much in support of the gay and lesbian community. And just tell us your thoughts about how we can support them even more in this community.
About lesbians and gays? There's no difference at all about lesbians and gays or straights as far as that goes. I don't have anything. See, I'm looking at the camera here and all that kind of crap and everything. There's no way that I don't know what to say after this. But the thing is, I don't have anything against gays or lesbians, especially lesbians. Have you ever been with a lesbian?
No.
All right.
I'm happily married. I've got the most beautiful wife in the world. She's awesome. Yes, we're still alive.
So your wife she's not a lesbian, right?
No, my wife's not a lesbian. She's gorgeous, though.
She is. All right. Am I going to be on TV or something? Gays and lesbians, no big deal to me. Nothing.
So you support the community, right?
What do you mean the community?
Well, the gays and the lesbians and the bisexuals and even the transgender people are getting together and having a wonderful time, loving and embracing each other.
I don't have nothing against gays, lesbians, or none of them. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being with us, okay?
All right. Yeah. What's it say now?
My wife is in the other room listening to the program.
Hasta la vista, senor.
That was great.
And
that's wonderful.
There was a part there. I don't think we wanted to go there.
Okay, it's becoming interesting. Just before this gentleman came on camera, I walked up to a couple. They were walking down the road, and I said, I'd like to have you on camera. Oh, yeah, we're really interested. You know, all the lights and the cameras and the action. But when I brought up, you know, supporting the lesbians and the gays and the bisexuals and the transgender people, I mean, they became upset. They walked out in the street. No way in hell. I mean, they were just upset. And this is sad. There is, you know, with some people, it's such a hate thing, and it's something that needs to change. And I think that we're going to change, you know, the entire environment when we see people just opening up their hearts and saying we can accept everyone. And so this is really good that we're doing these kinds of shows.
You're gonna burn in hell. You don't do that shit.
In the Old Testament, there's a passage. There is a passage in the Old Testament that says if you beat a slave and he can stand up after 3 days, you've done nothing wrong. Do you think that's good, moral, and just?
That's what the Bible says, yes.
Do you believe that it's good? It's not bad to beat a slave and have a slave?
You know, you ever heard of the Apostle Paul? You ever heard of the Apostle Paul?
At some point in my life, I did.
Okay, well, the gospel got revealed to the Apostle Paul. When the gospel got revealed to the Apostle Paul, we were dead to the Old Testament Christianity. Old Testament Christianity is Christ concealed. The New Testament Christianity is Christ revealed. Therefore, slavery in the Old Testament now would not be necessary.
When Elisha was walking down the road, the prophet Elisha, you've heard about him, and 42 children called him Baldy, and God sent 2 she-bears to maul them to death. Do you think that's good, moral, and just?
If God let it happen, the Bible says...
He didn't let it happen, he commanded the she-bears to do so.
But the Bible says all things work together for good. God had a plan in that.